Joseph, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
No worries. First question: where do you store the Emmys?
Oh, they're right here.
Oh, look at that. That's right there. So for
They're
the
right.
podcast listeners,
Yeah,
they're right in behind him. Like I could see
they're
them plainly on YouTube, like
yeah.
via the Zoom chat here.
They're in a glass case from IKEA. And yeah, they're doing well. I barely look at them, but I guess the only time I see them is when I'm on camera and I see them behind me. I'm not really like turning around very often to look behind me. So yeah, there they are. It's a good spot for them.
How
Uh,
many of them are there? Is there
uh,
six?
there's eight.
Jeez.
It's crazy. It's
Oh, that's awesome, man. Tell the viewers and listeners how you got them.
Oh well, so I was when I worked for the Buffalo Bills and Sabres and their parent company, Pagula Sports Entertainment. I was producing and editing and sometimes directing a ton of different projects for both teams as well as they also owned other entities and other things that weren't sports teams. Like they owned a record label in Nashville. They owned a bunch of restaurants. So like we did promo, marketing, docs for all of it, and it was a great ride. A lot of it, so a lot of the Emmys themselves are for stuff with the Bills and the Sabres. So a lot of the documentaries that would follow the teams or one-off episodes of different subjects about the team. So that's how that's what they're for. Yeah.
I saw one of your videos where you went to New York to get some of those golden babies.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the time the ceremony was right downtown, like right Times Square in one of the ballroom there. And yeah, it's a great I think that's the best part of getting this award is like the that fun night that you spend with the people you made that thing with who are your friends and just celebrate something. Because usually it's just you make the thing, you put it out there, and you just
Yeah.
keep editing a new video, right? Or making a new thing. So you really don't get time to like enjoy
Yeah.
anything. So that is a time where you really do. You go away, you specifically in this location for this event. And yeah, there's a whole vlog about it.
Not bad for a Canadian, man. Well done. Big
Yeah.
time.
Thanks, man.
I love it. So, okay, viewers, listeners out there, listen, if you've ever checked out his stuff, you know this guy's a passionate, like he's passionate for video ever since he was a kid. Like, can you talk about the origin story, your origin story, sir?
Yeah, I just loved making videos from a young kid, you know. My dad would always have like the old JVC camera out, just home videos, and I always there's a lot of footage of me of asking to hold the camera. And my dad's always like, "No, just play." You know, he's trying to film the kids playing, and I'm just like, "Oh, give me the camera." So that it started then, I guess, and like I was always fooling around with that camera, making funny videos or just filming, documenting life as you would with a home camera, and I like to do that. And that's really where it started. Then I at a young age I got some fun opportunities where I was in like there was my dad was connected with somebody who was making the soccer show on TV. So I was so they used me a little bit for fun in some of those episodes. Again, I was like 9, 10.
Wow.
Um, I made a lot of skits and stuff with my cousin. It was called The Wee Show. It was actually my dad had made it when he was a kid, like on like literally film cameras that you could buy for your house. So like, and you can only watch it on a projector, right? So, and there was no audio. So my cousin and I like that, and like we made our own skits and stuff. And then eventually we put them on YouTube, or not before YouTube. We put them on our own like free crappy website. There was no YouTube. So, and if you there that somehow that website still exists and you can go click on some of the videos and it would like it will download to your computer because that's the only way you could have watched anything at that time when we were posting them. So yeah, I was making stuff for a long time, as long as I remember. And then you know, I knew I wanted to go to the radio and television program, like formerly known Ryerson, and something I just like while in elementary school, I knew about this program, and then I eventually got in, and did that the during that time, made a lot of friends, did a lot of projects, obviously just through school. And at that time, I actually got the Wii Show on local television as a 8 episode run of
Wow.
a sketch of a comedy variety show. So that was crazy and fun to do. And yeah, so just throughout that time was making stuff. My end of the year project was a pilot for like a reality show based on a used car dealership, and it was my original pitch. Like I think they only pick like 12 projects, and then everybody else joins those. So I was one of the ones that had won, and we made this thing, and it was great. Like we almost even after school we almost sold the show concept, and it didn't work out, but
Wow.
it, it was it definitely put me on a path to make documentaries, really, right? That was really the first. I've been doing a little things, I mean, documenting life for a while, obviously, but this was the first time it was put into something that was watchable. I think really watchable and like actually like thought provoking a little bit. So out of there, I got a job with the Canadian Football League at the league office doing their videos. Like a lot of them were like highlight videos or repurposing the clips to make hype reels. And again, it was before a lot of what it is now. And at that, I got the opportunity to make a documentary about a player, and it wasn't as common back then. Like it was, now every team, every organization has their own internal video team, where that wasn't the case, right? So it was new, especially for the CFL, to see like and it wasn't even a player on a team. It was somebody who was going to be drafted. So we're following their journey, and I got to like produce and direct and edit that in the entire episode, and it like really kicked off something that the CFL had never seen for their league.
Wow.
So that again, I got to do a bunch of more of that at the CFL, and eventually saw a job posting for the Buffalo Sabres to do their documentary. And being Canadian, I applied thinking like, well, this is not going to happen. And a month later, I got a phone call out of the blue, and it's them. They're like, we want to meet you. So I drove to Buffalo, met with them, and basically, they're like, the job is essentially yours if you want it. It was barely, that was the hiring process. It was just, I guess I was the only one that was close enough who was doing the exact thing they needed. Yeah,
You're
so
too
that,
modest, man. You're too modest.
no, I don't I moved to Buffalo, and for 3 years. And then while still working there, moved back to Canada, uh, where I am now in Burlington, and I would just drive across the border every day into work for about, it was an hour and 10-minute drive.
Hmm.
Get the Nexus, it's quick. And yeah, I did that. And that's really where, made a lot of, still some of my best friends are living in Buffalo, and who make videos as well. Like either they're still working for the team or have done now doing their own thing. And that's where where I do now is a lot of US versus Canada comparisons. And that's a lot of the videos. I'd say half of the content I make, because of it started there when I was there interacting with Americans every day as a Canadian and bringing Canada into the US. And you'd get into conversation and you'd find little things that were different, that were interesting, and you would never really know unless you were talking every day about this type of thing. So um, I thought that was interesting. Nobody was at that time doing that type of content, like comparing the countries. Now, again, a lot of people are doing, there's a lot of content around that, but back then it wasn't a thing. Um, and at the time I was vlogging, like daily vlogging, but like I was filming daily, but I wasn't posting daily. I was posting like once a month. Um, and so one of the vlogs, I'm like, oh, let's bring my American friend over, Jason Holler, who's still one of my good friends. Bring him over to Fort Erie, Ontario, from Buffalo. Let's go into a Canadian grocery store and get your reaction to like what's there. And that video ended up going viral, and it kind of changed everything for what my thought of what I could be doing with my life. Now, that was like 6, 7 years ago. It doesn't feel that way, but it was, and that was a so we just did a bunch more. We did a bunch more of like comparing the countries' YouTube videos. It was before Instagram and TikTok were a thing. So we were just doing long form YouTube videos, and it, it was doing amazing. Like things were going, and then the pandemic hit, and we couldn't actually film together, so we had to figure out how to do it like virtually. So we did a bunch of virtual episodes where we'd send each other Canadian things or American things and do it on essentially like this on Zoom. We'd have like there was one episode where I think Jason was on a green screen, and then after the post took so long because we just made it look like we were sitting together, but it was all green screen and he was in his own space, and it was pretty good. It was like I think it was one of our Christmas episodes where we sent each other like Christmas gifts, US and Canadian Christmas gifts. So like that's yeah. So through making those videos, I learned a lot of different not skills, but like just different things of ways to do stuff in video that through my professional part of video wouldn't have been making or doing. So yeah, on the side of making videos for a living, I would making videos on the side as well as my side hustle. Like I just love it. I just love making them. So yeah, eventually got out of Buffalo, got a job back here in Toronto where I was a post-production supervisor for a production company who did a lot of corporate video. And then in that year, my everything else started to take off on the TikTok and Instagram, and I eventually quit and just now full time on my own
Oh,
making videos.
I'm clapping. Podcast listeners, I'm clapping.
Yeah, I said very good.
Good stuff, man. That's amazing. What a story.
It's a
Listen,
journey.
I am a fan of Joseph. I've consumed his content for a few years now. The America Canada niche, beautiful. Like when you're on YouTube or TikTok, you got to pick a niche. You got to
Yeah,
find your lane. Joseph, man, I've consumed content like your poutine episode, the Christmas episode.
yeah,
You talked about the grocery. You're talking about the milk bags. How Jason was
yes,
like floored by the milk bags.
yes,
Dude, I just saw your chicken wing episode. So Joseph and Jason checked out various buffalo joints for
yes.
chicken wings. Dude, I could watch you guys eat chicken wings all day. All day.
And we ate them all day. It was a very at the end of the day it was very painful, but it was very worth it and fun. Yeah, because at the end of that we went to 5 restaurants, and then we went to the National Chicken Wing Festival in the same day and had like 30 restaurants.
Yeah.
It was rough, but it was delicious at the same time. I'd do it all again.
Well, listen, congratulations on this pivot, being a
Thanks.
full-time creator. So, okay. So to the viewer, listener, they're like thinking about content creation. You know what? I do have a job I don't like,
Hmm.
but my passion is content creation. How do I make the leap to, okay, maybe not be full-time right away,
Yeah.
but maybe like a side hustle, build it. Like, how do I do it to actually monetize it? Because I want to make a living at this.
Yeah, okay. If you have any video skills to begin with, then it'll obviously help be able to quickly get better at it and do it from the get-go. But if you don't really know and you have your phone, you really haven't edited before, you just got to start making it and posting it. I mean, that goes for anybody, because through that you'll know you'll get better and better and learn what works, what doesn't. And you'll just throw a bunch of stuff out there about stuff that you're interested in and see what works. And if something you think is good didn't work, make the video again or change something that trying to hook. How do you hook somebody at the beginning of your video? Just try 5 different ways to do that in literally the same video, but maybe you start it differently. Yeah, it's just about you just got to post. You just got to not overthink it and just go because that's really the only thing that's stopping you is just not doing it. And then if you do it for 6 months, then we can talk about if you don't have success after 6 months of like consistently posting as much as you possibly can, um, then we'll talk. But you'll probably find some success if you're consistent and you're relentless and you don't give up. And obviously after that, you'll know if you like to do this or not.
Sure.
So you just have to do it. At the end of the day, you just got to do it. When I started posting on Instagram and TikTok daily, it was a conscious decision and it was a new skill almost. It was different than the videos I was already making. It was very in the way you write it and construct it and how quickly you have to get to the point, right? So it's even for me as somebody who's been doing it forever, it was a learning curve. So if you're just getting into it like me, you just got to post and you'll learn as you go and you'll refine and you'll eventually do it if you stick to it. Seriously, that's the only thing that's stopping you is just you quit.
Right. So as I checked out like many of your videos, one of those videos talked about how your YouTube didn't really take off right away. It took like a bunch of years before it really stuck. Like, what was that turning point? Was it going niche?
Yeah, definitely. So I've had YouTube since like whenever it began, I think. So the same account. And I don't even think I didn't really have stuff that was posting that was anything at all for a while. Um, then I think the real thing when I started to use YouTube properly was when I started to vlog. And that again, nobody really watched it. It was my family and friends and but no, I don't think it was finding new people and building an audience, right? So but I didn't know anything about how to do it properly yet. I was just making a vlog and I was having fun and I was helping, like I was getting to make something that nobody could give feedback on. And I just made the thing and I didn't care. And through that, actually, those side projects, you learn a lot and then you can bring it to your full-time job or whatever, and apply it to different things because you learn new techniques, new storytelling, ways to tell a story. So I was having fun being creative. But yeah, I did like 50 episodes of a vlog and just wasn't happening, right? Then I tried to do some editing tutorials and some camera reviews and stuff. And I didn't really love to do it. So I didn't keep it up at all. Like maybe there's one or two. That's when I started to okay, I need to find like a niche or something. And then I guess, as I said, like looking through, the through line of my vlogs anyways was always US Canada because I was a Canadian in the Buffalo most of the time filming my vlog and I was working there. And that's when we decided, oh, let's do this grocery store episode. And that's what it turned into. That when we found that's ended up being every video I did was a version of that. And that's why at the beginning of pretty much every video I say, welcome to a very special episode of the vlog. That is because it's a vlog. It started as this vlog, and the first episode I made as the vlog is a special episode because it's me and Jason now, and we're doing this very specific thing. So that's just the thing that's carried over, is that thing I say. It originated because it was just a vlog of my life. So it might start now. I'm at a point where I'm pivoting again because I Jason and I aren't doing as much. He's got his own production company in Buffalo, and he's the busiest guy. He also doesn't love the being on camera part, and it's really gotten to him more.
But it works though. Like you're dynamic. Like
I know
you're that
we're
perky guy. He's more straight man.
he's great. He's hilarious. Like I think he's one of the funniest guys, and like he doesn't know that he is. Like he's just him, and he's so good, and just in conversation. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I believe that it's just so I'm at a point where I'm gonna be continuing to make I think US Canada videos because I love it. It interests me every day. It might just not be as much with Jason. And I'm also wanted to experiment with different kinds of content as well on the YouTube channel. So
Sure.
more of a vlog style. There is a video I posted that was a vlog where I went to cook with Chef Bonaccini. Didn't do great, didn't do great. Different style, different video. So there's a few more I'm going to come out with. We have another episode film where I went back to the Grey Cup with my friend Adam from the Canadian show. So we did this. It's a second episode of like the first time I went to the Grey Cup, and I went with Jason. The angle's a bit different because it's not an American. But it's me actually. The storyline is me because I used to work for the CFL, so it's like recapturing what I had experienced back then, and reuniting with the Grey Cup trophy because that's a whole storyline. Anyways, it's fun.
Right.
I haven't touched it yet. I need to edit it.
Got it.
I'm trying to get there. There's a lot of stuff. I literally have Premiere open here. I'm editing right on this monitor over here.
Right.
And as soon as we're done talking, I'll be back editing, trying to catch up on a various projects. So yeah, that's how YouTube has gone.
So let's talk about a few things here. Okay, okay, so earlier you talked about quitting, right? And your gig to do this full time.
Yep.
I know you have a family, you
Yep.
have a wife. How did that go?
It was not like it took a while. I was talking about doing that for first I feel like for 4 years. Like, right? I was always when YouTube started to find success, like that was like, oh, I would love to do this on full time and it was never like a real conversation because it wasn't possible. Then I was when I consciously started to do the daily videos on TikTok and Instagram, and those audience started to grow.
Mm,
And it was and that was like 50, 60,000 on TikTok.
wow.
And it was like, okay, this could be a real conversation now. um and then I got another job. Again, I switched jobs. And again, it was very much like, let's like, if I don't love it, I could just quit and rely on something, even though it's not there yet.
Mhm.
And I liked the job and it was good, but then what happened was I it started to grow even more and even more, and it was like this could be a real thing. And then luckily my wife has a very good stable job with the benefits, so like that whole part of it, what I wasn't worried about. Um, and she was very supportive, and it was like, you know what, I could do freelance editing if I need to, if things get rough, like if I don't, the brand deals aren't coming in, or whatever isn't working out. So it's been about a year, and it's been fine. It's been good.
Awesome.
I feel like I've been so busy trying to make it work, but I've loved every second of it. And and one of the things that I will say, especially speaking US versus Canada, we are lucky here to have the healthcare, because friends over there who want to quit and like go freelance, like that the big issue is like healthcare. You just lose your healthcare when you quit your full-time job. So it's like that was never even a thought for me, right? It's not nobody would think that in Canada, like, oh, I lose my healthcare if I and worry about that stuff. I worry about, oh, I lose the dental or whatever, but like it's not like the main thing. Like if you got an emergency, you can go and you're fine, you're covered. So that's one of the US Canada differences that is so interesting, and why I think Canadians are nicer. It's a whole thing taken care of. We don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that was an interesting where it put it in perspective for me. For like, I'm in a position where if I quit to go on my own, like I'm not, I don't lose healthcare. It's
Yeah.
not even a thing to think about. So
Man,
that's
happy for you, man. That's awesome. It's
thank you.
great
Yeah.
that you hustled, you created your own thing, man. Like, good for you, man. A lot of people would love to be in your spot. Good stuff, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about some of the ways that you've been monetizing. Okay, so
Sure.
YouTube, they have a program that they pay creators, brand deals. Are those the main things that?
Yep. Yeah. Brand deals are definitely the main source of my income right now.
Mhm.
So you get a few, like, and they're great, and the more you grow, the bigger those get. And then YouTube, yeah, depending on, that's the thing, is you never know. You can't depend on YouTube
That's right.
because it fluctuates and you have no control over that. So the most important thing is, if you build the audience, the sponsors will come. They want to pay to get in front of your audience that they think that they would resonate with as well. So that's where it pays to. That's where I saw. That's where my
Yeah.
plan was like, build the audience enough that brand deals could sustain you. And if that doesn't work again, I can go to freelance. I can do some freelance projects, which isn't too difficult to find
For
for
sure.
in my position.
I'm assuming with your niche, like basically food, around food, brand deals are around food, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it tends to be definitely around food stuff.
Okay.
I did one with food basics, which was really fun.
Nice.
Um, I'm waiting on a few right now in different. Some of them aren't even food though, that which is interesting.
Hmm.
But what I can apply, I could apply food to it if I really wanted to. So I usually give a
Right.
few different options, one with, one without. Um, Again, my stuff like food is one part of the videos I make. But like I just love making any video, and as long as it's fun and I think it's interesting. Um, so, but yeah, a lot of them do tend to be food related, which is great as well.
Sure, man. All right. So we get it. You love doing videos. You and Jason, great tandem. Take us behind the curtain, a day in the life when you and Jason do team up, do a video. It's Tuesday. Tuesday. We're going here. We're shooting a video. What does that look like?
Yeah, like we would being, professional video producers, like we go in with a pretty good plan. We would specifically I remember that we went to basically I try to every video there needs to be some, a bunch of bullet points of either places we need to see, things we need to mention, or if there's like some sort of challenge we can add into the whole experience that makes people stick around. Um, like for example, the Calgary, when we went to Calgary, I brought American Visits Calgary. One of the main thing was I think points for who would win different challenges we would do through the episode. We write I usually write the entire intro, especially that one because we filmed it in every location we went. We filmed a piece of the intro, so it would all come together later. So yeah, there's a lot of things written. Sometimes I'll write bits that would go in the episode, and how we'd get in and out of them. So a lot of things were planned, like locations and little things were always planned. You never, you react it in the moment, but like getting in and getting out, you might have a line or a bit, and a through line of a challenge. So often, uh, as much as I can, I plan. That goes for any video I would make, and then when you have a good plan, then usually the stuff that happens when you're on set or on the day, like it gets better, right?
Right.
So and you go with that. So in case nothing better happens, you have the plan, and that is good.
So was there ever a time, okay, you guys have this rock solid plan, but then it just blown up to bits? And do you have to salvage it in some ways? Is there like a fun story around that?
Yeah, it turned into a fun story. So, there's the episode where I go and meet the Prime Minister. I go meet Justin Trudeau in his office. Like we break into his office. So Jason and I were planning to go to that, and we're going to drive to Ottawa together. The day before, he tells me he can't make it.
Ooh.
So I had up again, knowing as I said, everything was planned out of like scripts and like the idea, the title of the show, like American finds Prime Minister, like there was the whole thing was American coming to see the Prime Minister, right? So the whole angle was basically done the day before, and I was like, well, I need to. So in that moment, I needed to find I needed to write a whole new episode and find somebody else to go with me within 12 hours. So thank God, Adam Brandon, who is the Canadian show, uh, I picked up the phone. I called him. I'm like, listen, this is sound crazy, but do you want to come meet the Prime Minister with me tomorrow? He's like, 1 second. Okay. And from that moment, I think I that night and I rewrote a bunch of stuff, like changed the angle, and at the same time, we had a 4 hour drive to also rewrite and then rethink how we would present this, and it still turned out great, in my opinion, and we had a ton of fun, and what is it as good as it could have been? Who knows? Because but we'll never know, and we got what we got, and uh it was the best. So that was a stressful 12 hours.
Imagine. How was Trudeau? A decent
He
guy?
was he was surprisingly, like, for just hanging out with a guy, he was very funny and like
Oh,
improvised with us. Like there's the 5 or 6 minutes you see of us together in his office. this is the first time we spoken to him. And like there was no preset thing. Like we went in with a plan. Like I went in with a bunch of questions and plans and like, you know, if he wants to, if he's gonna, I don't know if he's gonna improvise. I don't know. I have no idea what he's gonna do. But I went with a plan, and he just kind of went with whatever I said and like improvised with us and like went with our dumb jokes and was for making content. It was great. Right?
Wow.
You know, politics aside, I didn't ask him about anything political. I mean, I asked him about poutine. Maybe that is political. I don't know, but I asked him about that stuff and so for a guy in a making a video entertaining, yeah, he was great. So
I think,
I had a great time.
of course, like, how did you hook that up? This is the PM. The mounted police, weren't they waiting for you, like trying to get you out of there?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, that's the whole thing. We set this up as again, they reached out to us. The Minister of Tourism reached out to us as a hey, we like your videos. Would you want to come to Ottawa, meet with me, and then maybe we can get you a meeting with the Prime Minister? So honestly, we didn't know 100% we were going to get the meeting until the day before. We knew we were going to go there and meet the Minister of Tourism. And also I wrote the whole episode, if you watch it, as if we were going to Ottawa just to break in, right? We never mentioned this is all set up. Where I wanted to make it more entertaining. So we went with like we're gonna try to break into the into the Prime Minister's office, see if we can get in and pass security and all that. So that was the angle of how we would make this even more entertaining than just going for a meeting. Um, but yeah, so they set it all up for us, which was really great. It was a great opportunity, and yeah, it was a bit nerve-wracking. To again, but having the plan and like different things to ask and different hitting my plot points where I had them. I didn't go in cold, so.
Right. It's amazing how, like, just watching your career, Joseph, like, you've been at it for such a long time, building that content, building that audience, opportunities like, the Ministry of Tourism coming at you. That's bound to happen. I think it's inevitable. If you're in the game long enough, committed long enough, consistent like Joseph's been, that stuff happens, like the brand deals, all that sort of thing. So good for you, man. Like, I
Thank
know
you.
that
Yeah.
journey because I've done a lot of content as well. And so I get it. And it's the people that really just stay with it. Those are the ones that win. And Joseph, man, you're winning, man. You're winning.
Thank you. Thank you. I always, every day I doubt everything I'm doing, right? So honestly, the beginning of this week, I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. But then as the week progressed, things got better and like opportunities came and like, I've never really take a moment to be like, I did it. It's like,
Right.
no, I want this. I want to do these things. And so it's sometimes nice to hear like, okay, you're doing okay.
Oh man, I just look at your views, dude, like, and the comments. That's validation right there. But I get it, man. Like, you always want to improve, get to that other level, and you are. You were talking about pivoting earlier with your video content.
Mhm.
So we're sticking with the food a little bit. Like, you talked
Yeah,
about
I think food's always been a through line, even in the US
yeah.
Canada videos. Like a lot of it was food anyway,
Right.
right? So again, just because I love it. So
Mhm.
I think there'll be a lot of food stuff, definitely on TikTok and Instagram. Like
Mhm.
that'll continue. And then I'm thinking of doing more almost more documentary storytelling, uh, where I'm not necessarily the guy. I'm in it, but like it's the story about a thing that I'm trying to figure out. That could be it. Like every food video could be deeper. Like, why are the U.S. and Canadian corn pops different? Like, let's talk to the Kellogg's people. Like do an in-depth like doc YouTube episode about that. I go to the factory. Like, I would love to do those type of things. Like that's probably on the ideas list of what I could do, and what I'd want to do. So
Right.
yeah, we'll see.
I think there's a lot of ground you could cover there. 'Cause I know, like, on a Joe Rogan podcast, he had a guest talk about McDonald's Coca-Cola, how it's so superior to any other taste, like any other Coca-Cola
Uh,
outside of McDonald's. Apparently, all McDonald's did, at least in the US, they followed the recipe of how to prepare the Coca-Cola in the dispenser. There's certain filtration, certain water, temperature. So yeah,
Wow.
man, you could deep dive, I'm sure.
I would love to. I would love to. Like that would be so fun because that again, any of those US Canada comparisons, you could then go take a deep dive and find out why, why the differences and who, especially if there's similar things that shouldn't be different and
For
how things
sure.
can be. So that's yeah, that's an angle I'd like to explore for sure.
Definitely. Well, we'll be watching, definitely. So, okay, so we'll give you a couple more questions. I know you're busy.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
might get to cutting a video. So, any last kind of tips or like advice for someone who wants to be a successful content creator that you haven't already talked about?
Uh, um, Mimic things that you like. If instead of just starting fresh, like just try to create like that. That's a lot of what I did. I used to be. I loved David Blaine when I was a kid. I still love the guy. So I started doing street magic. I started getting my friends to film it. I would edit the videos and it would just a mimic of David Blaine. And I learned how to do that, right? Just from mimicking somebody. And then eventually once you mimic somebody enough, you'll then take that pieces of things and make your own. So I'd say like if you don't know where to start, like just whatever version of a video you like, just make the same one, but about the subject that you're interested in, right? So like you don't have to reinvent anything, and maybe that would take some dread out of what you're doing or some worry of like I don't know what I'm doing. Just recreate somebody else's video, and you'll learn a lot from that. Um, so I think that and just don't procrastination and like trying to get other things in place that before you think you can start. It's don't do that. Like don't I have a podcast that was a US versus Canada podcast, but again, I haven't had time to upkeep it. But when we started it, we I didn't buy the subscription to the podcasting platform first. It was let's film or talk and let's do this thing first. And then I just did that, right? We did that first before like getting other things in place. So I did it, I cut the video, it was done. I'm like, okay, how the hell do I get this to people? And that's when I did that step, right? So it's like, don't confuse the steps, right? Don't do these things that because it's just you're procrastinating. You need to make the thing first, and then after that, you can do these other things that are time consuming and easier. I really, um, that's my advice.
Some great tips. Awesome. Joseph, where can people check out your content? Where? YouTube, TikTok?
Yeah, so I'm on if you go to Instagram, I'm at Joseph_video. On TikTok, it's my full name, Joseph DeBenedictis. YouTube is my full name, or it's at Joseph D. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm my full name again. Yeah, you can find me in all those places. And yeah, I'm posting. I post daily usually on Instagram and TikTok, and then weekly, I think, on YouTube for the shorts, and then figuring out the schedule for the longer videos right now, but it's like every 1 or 2 months. I like that to be at least once a month. So, but yeah, that's me.
Amazing. Joseph, listen, congratulations again. Great story. Thank you for being on the show, man.
Thank you so much, Dave. Yeah, this was great.
All right. A big thanks to Joseph for being on the show. That was a fun conversation. Joseph, sir, you're talented. Everybody out there, check out his stuff on TikTok, on YouTube. It's entertaining content. You won't regret it. All right, that's it for this episode. Please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and podcast. Until next time, take care and have a good one.